intro first?
Yeah, so let me just introduce Paul. We've been working with Paul both in our practice, one of the solution centers, and in 8 Weeks to Wellness. Paul came to us through Julie McLaughlin, and one of the things that we're always doing is trying to take a look at what we're good at and what we're not good at. And one of the things, and Dr. Denise and I, this is a core theme throughout what we've done in our practices and what we've done with 8 Weeks to Wellness, but if there's an area that we're not an expert at, we don't try to claim to be an expert. And we don't want to do things, excuse my language, half-assed. So one of the things that we recognized that we were doing half-assed was our social media and to a certain extent our website design. And we wanted to go out and find an expert. And we've worked with people who helped us with website design. But after talking to Julie and then working with Paul a little bit, and we always, I have a kind of a core philosophy that I'm not going to expose my doctors who trust me to anybody that I haven't worked with personally and, so to speak, vetted. And Paul has just been a tremendous resource. We're working on a bunch of different projects, both with 8 Weeks to Wellness and with Wellness Solution Centers. But I dare say that Paul is the social media expert in terms of how to integrate website design into social media to get your message out, into the public. And we all know that we have a great product with 8 Weeks to Wellness. But as I always say, it's not so great if nobody knows about it. And obviously the environment and the landscape has changed tremendously with the way that we go about attracting new patients. And I don't really consider myself an old timer because I'm like a mid timer. I'm not old and I'm not young anymore. I've been in practice 25 years. But the landscape has changed quite a bit in terms of what worked 20 years ago and what is working now. So with that in mind, we recognize our need, both in 8 Weeks to Wellness, to attract doctors, and in our practice, Wellness Solution Centers and 8 Weeks to Wellness to attract patients, to have a really, really good social media campaign. And when it comes to e-blasts and blogs and Facebook and Twitter and all those things that I'm learning about, and I've really sped up my learning curve in the past year. And a lot of that is thanks to Paul and Awesome Dynamics. So, Paul, with that in mind, I know you're going to go over some great ideas here to help docs, to increase their revenue by blogging and by, connecting with their community and their patients.
Well, thank you so much for that intro, Dr. Dana. I really appreciate it. One point of clarification I do want to make really quick, and I really do appreciate the glowing review and testimonial. Social media is one piece of the whole SEO, and I know that SEO word is kind of new to some people. Some people know what it means, but it's that whole search engine optimization. And social media is a piece of that giant puzzle. We do integrate social media into parts of that. Blogging is part of SEO. Promoting those blogs on social media is part of SEO. And there's a lot of other technical stuff that goes into SEO, as well as just a lot of human things that a lot of people don't think of, and even common sense things like, is your phone number in the upper right-hand corner of your website, and is it obvious and bold and really big? Because this whole website is supposed to be a tool to generate leads, and does it do that well? And what does the person feel when they come to the site? Do you trigger an emotional response? Do they feel like it's going to be a friendly place for them to walk into? Do they see the friendly doctor that's going to be treating them? Or does the imagery not really communicate that at all? What is the imagery really communicating? So all those things are kind of under that whole SEO umbrella. And what Dr. Dane and Laura had asked us to put together today was a presentation specifically on how does blogging fit into this puzzle. If you want to know all the pieces of the puzzle, the webinar that we did last for the 8 Weeks to Wellness group had some really important specific aspects of different things that influence your ability to rank locally in Google. And there was a pie chart that we had on there, and it even showed where you should be spending your time, and we had 3 action items. So those of you that are listening, I'd encourage you to go back and watch that one as well, because there's just a lot of great info that can make a huge impact on your ability to rank locally in Google, and can start bringing you leads right away that you don't even have now. And you can do it all on your own, and it's free. Of course, if you don't have the time, that's where we can come in and help you out. So with that being said, Dr. Dane, did you want me to get started on the next steps here?
Let's do it.
Okay, so one thing that I want to make clear, and here we are, the folks that are on the line are the top two. That's me, Paul DeWarian on the top. Robin is also on the line. She's going to be getting into some of these topics a little bit more in depth on while we go through the presentation. And we also have Terry, who is our contact that does all the sales for Awesome Dynamic. And you see his information there, Terry at awesomedynamic.com. You can call his direct line, which is that 847-665-9497. And go to awesomedynamic.com. I also have an 800 number that can get you to any of us as well on the website. But let's dive right in. Before we get into why do I really need a blog, the whole idea of blogging, it's not the thing you should start with right away. What you should start with right away is what we did in that last webinar, which is you need to get your Google My Business claimed, you need to get it optimized, which just means filling it out all the way, and you need to clean up your citations on the internet. And you need to work on making sure you have service pages on your website and a whole bunch of other things. So is a blog a priority? I would say if you haven't done those other things, no. But I'm not here to talk about this. I'm here to talk about if I am at the point where I'm ready to blog, what is it that we need to worry about? And that's what we're going to dive into today. So with that being said, Robin, start going through this presentation and just give me the cue to go ahead and go to the next item.
Sure. Thanks for that intro. So we're going to go over some of the reasons why you need a blog. First off, your competitors, they probably have a blog started already. That's a big reason why they would rank above you. For example, the next bullet is Google's always looking for fresh content. If an easy way to get fresh content on your site is through a blog. So if you think to your website and when's the last time you had fresh content on your website, that would probably, if it's been a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, when's the last time you added new content to your service pages or your website? That's a big ranking factor. It's also helpful to potential customers and patients, so if they're looking for information, that's a way that they can end up on your site versus your competitor sites. It's also a great way to increase your traffic. So imagine taking up not one spot on the first page of Google, but let's say you take up 3 spots because you have some great blogs, you have some citations filled out, you have your Facebook page taking up a spot, you have your YouTube channel taking up a spot. So you could be 5 of those top 10 or even all 10 of those top 10 results. So people are basically forced to click on your website versus other websites. The next one is time spent on the site. If people come to your website and there's no content to read, they will click off or they'll spend a really small amount of time on your site. You want to make sure to check in your Google Analytics. If you don't have a Google Analytics account, it's free. You just have to set it up. Just takes a few minutes. And you can see how much time people are spending on your website. You want that to be definitely above the 1 or 2 minute mark, but ideally you want it to be 3 or 4 minutes. Think about your website right now. Are people spending time reading your website? Are they staying on your website for 3 minutes? If you have a blog, they definitely will be staying on there for a longer amount of time than just your service pages alone. And next is lasting power. If you really take time to write these blogs, and it does take some time, you can have that blog last on Google for years. Great blogs that are optimized can just stay up there on Google and beat out your competitors. And the last reason, which is the most important, is you can increase your new patient outreach. So you can find new patients just online by investing a few hours into one blog. You could attract a lot more traffic to your website, get people to call you, fill out your contact page, and that's really the point of today.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in there real quick, Robin. Yeah, the quality of what you're writing is of paramount importance. And you really want it, if it's going to have lasting power, it's going to engage people, and those folks, you're giving yourself an opportunity to demonstrate your expertise in your field. And you want to really knock it out of the park when you do that. So when you're putting this content together, and like we do for Awesome Dynamic, we're writing on topics that people want to learn about. We're creating videos through our webinars to put on those blogs. We're really creating really valuable, meaningful content that engages people and makes them want to learn more about us, and it helps demonstrate that we are, in fact, experts in what we do, and that's one thing that you can do through your blog as well. Let's hop into the next slide, Robin.
All right, we're going to go through this summary rather quickly because this is what we'll be talking about on the rest of the slides today. First is just some general guidelines and keywords. Next is the blog titles, make them convincing so people click on them. Permalinks, headers, the body copy and what needs to be included. You'll also need an internal and external link, which we'll go over. You need to add categories, especially if you're on WordPress. And metadata and Yoast, that's basically a fancy word for the Google results. You can actually write those yourself. And then the visual appeal, the look and feel of your website, as Paul talked about. And then we're going to go over some picture guidelines and how to correctly add pictures and optimize them. All right, so we can move on to the next slide. So here's a few general guidelines when you're choosing your keywords. The bare minimum is you want to do at least 1 or 2 blogs per month. I always like to say if you're blogging weekly, that's probably ideal, and more than that is even better, as long as the quality is really high quality. The length, 300 to 600 words is the minimum, but I would take a look at your competitor websites that have blogs and see what they're doing. But 300 words, that's 3 paragraphs, so definitely doable. You want to use 2 legal pictures, and we'll go into the pictures later. It must be original content. Even if you're taking quotes or something, testimonials or reviews off other websites, that would be considered duplicate content. So you want all original content. Good keywords. So a great place that you can go for free for keywords is just the bottom of Google. Just put in keywords that you think your audience would type into Google. So definitely something that you can do right before you write your blog. You want to have 1 keyword per blog. There's also paid tools out there. For example, we use SEMrush or Moz.com to get these paid keywords. But keyword research is a whole nother topic that we could dive into for hours. But another free tool would be Google Keyword Planner. So it will give you hints of what the best keywords are. All right, so let's go over the blog title on the next slide.
Okay. Let's see here.
First off, is your blog title enticing or teasing to the reader? Are they going to click on it when they see it against the other top 10 results? This is optional, but you would probably want to contain a power word, and we have a whole list of power words. We have a blog on power words. They're things like, number 1 or top practice in the area, or some easy, quick, and simple, those kind of words that are proven. So
I put some of those words from that blog on the screen here. We actually have a whole hour video just on metadata tag writing and making great title tags that you can look at, and we have the link to this blog at the end of this presentation for you to check out as well.
Yes, and you can get a copy of these slides after the presentation with links to all of those on the last slide. All right, and the other things you want for a blog title, you want it to be 35 to 60 characters long. Google's been experimenting with up to even 70 characters, but to be safe, you want to keep it under 60 characters. And I always suggest writing your blog title last because you want to write the whole article first and see what it's about, and then write a creative title summarizing it. All right, and we can move on to the next slide, which is the permalink. And here's just a few examples. So permalink is just basically that end part of the URL. So whatever your web address is, it's that last part of it after that first slash. So you can see the example up top is, that's a bad example, yourwebsite.com / and then it's just a bunch of letters and numbers, and we have no idea what that is. But you can see on the bottom is what you want to do. So yourwebsite.com / blog / how to fix a headlight. So that would be something that you would want to strive for on your website to make sure that you have great permalinks. For example, you would want to keep track of this, it would be great for your Google Analytics, so you can keep track of all your blogs in one place. What are your most successful blogs? And if you see that a lot of people are flocking towards one blog, and then write more blogs like that.
In fact, that's what we're doing right now. We're ranking really strongly for some words pertaining to Amazon Consulting, which is the fastest growing part of our business right now. And we wrote a blog, and we discovered that a lot of folks are coming to that blog, and now we're writing all sorts of new blogs and content about that to even increase the amount of traffic coming to our site daily. So it's important to...
Can you guys, Paul and Robin, can you show how to change the permalink?
That depends on how your website is built. And
Okay.
there's, so if you're in WordPress, there's going to be an area where you can actually change it very easily. You can edit that and change it. A lot of website platforms don't let you change it at all. For example, in Wix, you have no control over it whatsoever. Every platform has a different way of being able to handle it. That's why we really recommend getting into an open source platform like WordPress, which is used by over 60% of the world, because you are able to get in and customize a lot of these very important finite details that you're not able to jump into and do with a lot of these other platforms. So it's an important piece. Another thing to remember is when you change them, you need to do like a forwarding address. Like you go to the post office, you leave your house and you go to another house. If you don't tell Google that you did that and change the permalink from, let's say, the version on top to the version on the bottom, and you don't do what's called a 301 redirect, which WordPress has a plugin to help you do that a little bit easily. Then what it'll do, if you ever gone on the internet and you click on something that says 404 not found, that's because they didn't do a 301 redirect. And that's a broken link, and you didn't go through the due diligence to redirect it to the right place, and that's something that hurts you from ranking as well. So when you change them, you have to be careful about how you handle it. So that's a little bit additional info on that particular item.
All right, so let's go into headers. Basically just the titles of your paragraphs. If you're writing blogs and it's just 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs and there's nothing separating out the text, it's going to be really hard for your readers to separate it out visually and keep reading and stay on the page to keep those website times up. So you want to make sure that the header, at least one header on each blog, contains the exact keyword. So again, we picked one keyword. It could be a phrase. It doesn't have to be one word. It could be 2 or 3 words. So that has to be in the header. And then it just simply describes the paragraph or the bullets underneath it. Google cannot read the header if it's just a paragraph, so you actually have to highlight it and make it into what's called a header 1, an H1, or header 2, H2, or H3. So it just has to be labeled as that, and you can really easily do that on WordPress and other platforms as well. So you just have to translate it into Google's language. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to read it and see it and then rank you online. So it's just a matter of highlighting that. And you can tailor these headers to your audience so that they keep reading down the page. All right, next we have body copy.
And before we get into that, I just want to bring up a quick example for Dr. Julie McLaughlin. When we started working with her, all of her main headings on the website were H2s instead of H1s, and the main one should be an H1. So we went through and changed those, and that makes a huge impact. H1 is the most important heading on the page, and Google looks at it that way. So making that change can make a significant difference.
All right, next we have body copy. So
I hated that movie.
Yeah, you definitely don't have any duplicate content. I put a, body copy, 2 of them. So the theme of all of this blogging is to have the keyword literally everywhere. You want to have it in the blog title. You want to have it in the headers. You want to have it in the body copy. You want to have it, in the permalink. You want to have it everywhere throughout this blog so that Google scans your website and they see, okay, this article is all about chiropractic health. And then they say, okay, we're going to rank this article for chiropractic health and for chiropractors and for chiropractor without an S. So you want to make sure the keyword is throughout the entire article. So you want to make sure that the keyword is definitely somewhere in that first paragraph. If you have a blog right now, go back to some of your blogs and see if you have that keyword in your first paragraph, preferably the first 2 sentences. And then you want to make sure that the keyword is included between 0.5 and 3%, including the headers. So if you have the keyword in there too much, it's going to be considered spammy. If you don't have it in there enough, it's not going to be showing up on Google. So between 0.5 and 3%. So if you have an article that's 300 words, then 1% would be three times. 3% would be 9 times. If you have it in there only twice, it's going to be less than 0.5%. All right, so and then the next is you want to write it for humans. You don't want to write for search engines. Just write for your specific audience. And you want to vary the keyword a little bit. So if you have it in there too much, let's say your keyword's chiropractor, you can use the word chiropractors with an S, and that's going to vary the keywords so that you don't go over that 3%. And then we want to have 300 to 600 words minimum, and otherwise it won't rank on Google, most likely. And you also won't beat out your competitors. And then you just want to break up this body copy visually with those headers, and you could use different colors. Just make sure that there's no duplicate content, either from your site or from another person's site. And that includes pictures. All right. So next we're going to, go ahead.
The writing for humans piece I wanted to highlight. We get a lot of folks that we train on how to do some of this stuff, and they do everything except the quality of what they've written. I recall an attorney client of ours that had one of their support staff members write pages for each of the specific towns they want to rank in locally, which is basically using the same blog techniques that we have here. All these techniques work on your individual pages on your website, but it just basically said the same thing. Maybe the content was a little bit unique, but there was no value in that page that would really be meaningful to the people that come to them. So I said, if you want to rank in this other town, he's a real estate attorney, talk about the title companies you specifically work in with that particular town, and that will bring some additional meaning and value to the person that actually lands on that page, rather than just generically talking about your services and the fact that you happen to work at Barrington was the particular town. So really write it for the people that are there and making it meaningful and valuable to them. That's a really big piece. It used to be easy to trick Google, but they're changing their algorithm twice a day, and they're doing it to serve their customers, who are us, and they're trying to serve the best results. So low-quality content will not yield rankings. Go ahead, Robin.
Next, we're going to talk about the internal and external link. After you've done all this work for your blog, you want to make sure that you have a link going back to a page somewhere on your website, and then you also want to have a link going somewhere outside of your website. That's because Google's algorithm is based on what I basically call votes. So if you have a lot of other websites linking to your website, that means your website has a lot of votes. So you want to have both of these, internal and external link. What that means is you just, when you read an article and you can see a link and you click on that, that's exactly what that link is. So you want to add that to your website. So you can choose just a small amount of text, and then you link it with that full HTTP www version. You want to make sure that it opens up in a new window and it relates back to what the text says. And if you have too many, it's going to dilute what's called your page rank. So you want to have 1 or 2 internal links, and then you can have, at least 1 external link on your site. So if we go to the next slide.
Right, and I will get to that, Robin. One point of clarification. When Robin said opening it in a new window, that's for your external links. We're kind of talking about them simultaneously here. But,
I would probably say open in a new link even for your internal links so that people don't lose the page.
Okay, that's a good strategy. And then too many links, internal links, dilutes your page rank. So I recall working on actually Dr. Cohen's website, and we're working with him currently, and a lot of the blogs that he have like 10 links in each one to other pages within the site. Basically, if that blog ranks really well in Google and there's 10 links in that blog to other blogs within that same website, then then you're basically passing 10% of the link juice to those other pages. If he were to then get rid of those 10 links and just link, let's say the word chiropractor in that blog back to his chiropractor or chiropractic care page, then all the link juice that that blog has, and if it were to pass it to another page, would all 100% of that power or page rank would be passed to the chiropractic care page, helping that page then rank better. So, really paying attention to how you're doing the internal linking can really determine how your pages support each other, and how that influences the Google algorithm. I will go to the next page and we'll see about the votes. Robin, go ahead.
Yeah, so you want to do the internal link, but you also want to do the external link. So you just pick a page that's not your competitor. It has a deep link, which just means it has a bunch of slashes. It's not just CNN.com. It's CNN.com/article/ how to cure something. And so that would be a deeper link. It's not the home page. And then you want to just choose text that makes sense from a human standpoint. So link to something that makes sense in the article. Don't just link to a random web page that has nothing to do with the link. All right. And then
one thing that I want to bring up, the one that says here, not a competitor. The only reason, obviously you don't want to link to your competition, but this whole idea of votes, if something links into your website, we could do a whole presentation on what's called backlinking, which is a very important piece of SEO, but you don't want to exchange links with anybody. If you do that, it basically nullifies any additional effect that you can get from that. So, and there's also places where you can buy backlinks. That's not good either. One of the most effective techniques that we learned about when we interviewed a Google top contributor a few weeks ago on our webinar was that just reach out to your network, your networking group, or even your own insurance agent. Tell them that you'll write a nice testimonial that they could put on their website, and in exchange, you just want them to link back to your website. I just thought that was such a cool tip to get some backlinks from other things coming into your website. So I just wanted to dive into that quick tip as we were talking about links here. Robin, let's talk about the categories.
Sure. So the only thing that's important about categorizing your blog, it's not really for search engines, it's just for helping humans out. But as long as you don't have uncategorized checked, especially in WordPress, you can make up any categories that you like. I would suggest just starting with 2 to 5, and you can always add on more. All right. And then the next slide, we're going to get into something that's really important for your blog, which is the metadata. We use the plugin Yoast, which I believe is only for WordPress.
I think they have it for Joomla now too, but it makes doing a lot of this stuff very easy. It actually gives you a nice feedback. Green is good, orange is okay, and red is bad. And it specifically tells you what you can do. So you think about this whole, you're probably thinking to yourself, 0.5% and 3%, how do I have to sit here and count? No, this plugin does it for you. It says, oh, you have 500 words and you're only at 0.3%. You should add the keyword X number of times to get to where you need to be. Your meta description doesn't have the keyword, or it's long enough, it's too short. It literally gives you specific information on how to optimize your individual blog post or page. So, Robin, why don't you get into some of those specific items, would you?
Sure. So this probably sounds like a really tech fancy word, meta, keyword, metadata, meta title, meta description. All that means is, when you Google something and those top 10 results, that's what the metadata is. So you can actually rewrite your blue title link that you click on Google. You can rewrite the description that goes under it, and you can pick out your keyword to tell it Google and communicate exactly what it is. Yeah, so that's all metadata, is just those top 10 results on Google. That's all we're looking at. So in order to rewrite that, you would just have to go log into the back end of your website. So definitely make sure you can contact your web developer, or that you have access to the back end of your website, and go ahead and rewrite this stuff. So pick out just one keyword per page, not two. So a keyword, it can be a phrase. It doesn't have to be, so one keyword or keyword phrase, not 2 keywords or 3 keywords. So that's considered keyword stuffing as well when you have, let's say on your website you have 10 keywords for that one page because you want to rank for all 10 of those. That's the old way of doing it. That's like 5 to 10 years old. You'll get blacklisted off Google if your pages have, 5 to 10 keywords on them. You just need one. And then the meta title needs to be between 35 and 75 characters. So we talked about that a little bit. Add some power words in there from that article. Then the meta description, which is on Google right underneath the title, that should be 130 to 155 characters. So if you write this for all the meta keyword title and description for all of your service pages, for your home page, and for every blog that you write, you're going to be in good shape there, and now you're communicating with Google what your page is about. So you can rank for the words that you want to rank for. They need to be original content, so don't just copy a sentence off the article and paste it into the description. Just summarize the article. And then it leads to a great CTR, which is click-through rates. So if you want more clicks to your website, just fill out this metadata. I mean, it's pretty easy. You just go to the page in the back end and just fill it out. Takes, just a few minutes. And then you're going to be able to influence what it says on Google when your website shows up. So if you Google yourself right now, your business, and see what Google is saying in those top 10 results or what shows up, you can actually change that. And that's how.
I'll show a quick example. So one of our keywords that's just driving tons of leads worldwide to our website all the time is our Amazon page. And number one, you can see we used a power word. Number one, top-rated experts, best results. This looks more attractive than other results here. You can see we put this in here. This isn't just a magical thing that Google puts in here for these gold stars. We put that in there using what's called schema markup. You can see that this meta description, we wrote this to put this in here. If you look at our competition for a lot of these words, they're not trying too hard. That's what makes SEO really easy in a lot of cases when your competition isn't really paying attention to things that really matter. All right, look and feel. I love this picture, Robin.
Now we're going to go into the fun part. We're going to ask for any volunteers if you want us to do your website and just evaluate it for the look and feel. There's also something called the Wayback Machine where you can just Google search Wayback Machine and you can see your website at different points in time. Let's say you want to see your website from 10 years ago. You can type it in and it'll show you a version of that. So if we have any volunteers that want to volunteer their website, we can take a look at it and let you know how we can improve the look and feel of your website.
And if we don't have a volunteer, Dr. Dane, we can pull up Dr. Pasal's website because we're in process of changing some of his, and I have some specific comments I could demonstrate on his if you'd like.
We have a volunteer, and the first volunteer was Jeff Borenstein. And Jeff, type in your URL for your website for me. 2 seconds. Jeff, type in your URL into the chat box.
And Dr. Dane, while we're waiting for that, I'll bring up a couple samples just really fast and just let me know when he's got his URL in there and I'll go ahead and pull that up for sure.
Just he's not putting in, type in, let's see, type it in now. Type in, let's see, chiropractor, Alexandria, Virginia, Jeff Borenstein, Borenstein.
Can you spell that one more time for me?
Borenstein.
It's B, Paul, Borenstein.
Ah, is this him
There
right
it
here?
is.
Okay.
No, it's King Street Chiropractic. There you go.
That's the correct one?
King Street, yep.
Okay, great. Okay. Ooh, I like what I see so far. All right, so this is good. So the one thing that's so important about the look and feel, even on your blogs, is what is the impression do I get in the first 3 to 5 seconds? And what's happening here, the slideshow is probably a little bit slow, but what's happening here is I'm starting to get the feel of what this place does, what this business does, and I'm starting to learn about the story of what they're all about. And they do a good job at this. It's probably a little bit too slow for my taste. But the other look and feel piece that's really important for the blogging aspect is, is it broken up content, or am I presented with a giant paragraph of copy and lots of paragraph copy? And here, I love the little symbols here. You notice that, these don't necessarily mean anything pertaining to these. I know that there's some folks that get caught up in what is the icon, but so long as it just visually breaks it up, it draws my eye to this area, and then I'm starting to look at, what are all these different things here? And it's not just blocks of paragraph copy. Christina, I know that you're working on some of this with a project that we're working on, and just this is a great sample of a way to really break up copy in a very enticing way. It allows me to scan. We actually have a whole blog written on how people just scan through until they find what's really interesting to them, and then they click on what they find. And the way this is presented is just absolutely outstanding. So very good job. You brought us a great example, Dr. Dane.
And they have their blog at the top too, so can you click on that?
Yeah, let's take a look.
See when the last time they wrote a blog was. Nice.
So you stay in recent. This is excellent. One thing that I would probably do to critique this is I put the title up at the top. Depending on your particular type of business, and you should look at your Google Analytics to find this out, how many folks are looking at your desktop site versus your mobile site? So if I take this and make it the size of an iPhone, what am I seeing on a small iPhone that I'm not seeing, that I might not be seeing otherwise? And this picture actually does reduce in size appropriately, so this is done quite well. And I do see the title right away. So my concern was when I saw it in desktop view, I wasn't sure whether or not that would be sizing appropriately. But this is well done. The thing is, one thing to think about is on your blog page you have this additional copy here, and I'm guessing when I go here this exact same copy is going to be on this page as the first paragraph. You need to not do that. One thing that we do on our website that helps kind of eliminate a lot of that duplicate content, which you can check using siteliner.com, which you might want to write down, but you'll notice you go on here, we're just missing a little picture there, but notice it's just a brief title, picture, and then I click through to learn more. This will be flagged all over the place on your website by that SiteLiner tool as duplicate content that you're having here. But if we dive into this particular blog and take a look at it, that's where all of a sudden we're diving into paragraphs. And I probably would want to start with one paragraph, start jumping into a bulleted list. I'd probably want to put some additional pictures in here to make it more enticing, to make me want to scan through and read more. Think of a magazine and how magazines are laid out. Think of how newspapers are laid out. Those mediums were laid out specifically to grab people's attention in different parts of the page depending on what they're looking for. And that's what you would want to do with your blog content and how the look and feel works. Robin, do you have any additional comments on that?
Yeah, let's take a look at the keyword. So let's take a look at the title on that blog. So go back to the blog and scroll up. Yeah. So are you trying to rank for smartphones? Are you trying to rank for neck? Are you trying to rank for pain? Are you trying to rank for pain in the neck? It's not really clear what you want to rank for here, but the one that would make the most sense for a chiropractor would be pain in the neck. So if we scroll down, is pain in the neck in the first paragraph? I don't see the word pain in the neck in the okay, so we do have pain in the neck here, becoming a pain in the neck. So is it in the header? Or let's do a control F in any of the headers, the H2s or H3s.
Okay, you got it. We have 4 instances.
We see it's only in here 4 times. Is that 0.5 to 3% of the time? We see pain in the neck in the title, so that one does not count. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that one on the right doesn't count, and the title does not count. So it's only the body copy and the headers. I see it's missing in a header. It's also missing, and you might not even want to rank for pain in the neck. So you definitely the the keyword is the most important part, and the picture should be named with the keyword as well. So let's see if that is.
So we have text neck.jpg. That doesn't have pain in the neck in it. If you were trying to rank for pain in the neck, your image file name doesn't have in it. And then over here, your alt text, it's filled out, which is okay. But we have a sentence describing what the picture is with the words pain in the neck in there, if that's what you're trying to rank for. So missed opportunities there as well. And this is some of the exact stuff that we're talking about during this webinar. If I take a look at the source code up at the top, some of the metadata, so pain in the neck is here. If that's what I was really trying to rank for, those words should be all the way up in the front or as close to the front as I possibly can. And if I take a look at the meta description here, our smartphone is becoming a pain in the neck, so you got it in there. So you have pain in the neck in some of the places, but not in all of them. And
you know what, it's a little long too, the meta description. It's definitely over 160 characters. You can see it's getting cut off there.
And this looks like it might actually be a copy of the text that's already in here.
Yeah, so it's not original content if it's found in the article.
Yeah. So some quick tips on how to improve all of these blogs. The other thing that I would do from a graphic design standpoint is let's get that picture lined up at the flush left with our paragraph here and flush right with wherever my margin is over here instead of having this gap around it. That's just
and to me, the picture looks a little bit stretched.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys are being really nitpicky now. Come on. Come on.
You can give us anything, Dr. Dane. We'll be able to find something that you can improve upon.
Somebody asked, should all the text be visible in the blog, or is it okay to have a read more link?
It's okay to have a read more link. In fact, one of the strategies that we talk about is how every website should have 1,500 words on a home page. And that's a lot of words. So sometimes having a read more expandable option is fine, but I want to describe that as we take a look at this blog button, this is showing me all the blogs that are available on the blog from top to bottom, from most recent, and so forth. This is a different page, and you see over here, it's the website/blog. If I click on this, now I'm actually in the blog itself. So that read more button is essentially just bringing me to the actual blog. So if it was on the same page here and it expanded, that'd be fine, but we wouldn't want all of that stuff on this page in this expanding here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you would call that the internal link.
Correct. Correct. All right, shall we get back to the next slide so we can hop through the rest of this and hopefully
sure, we're going to go
more
through
time for questions.
Yeah, we're going to go through pictures pretty quickly, but if you have questions since we're in the last 15 minutes, just go ahead and ask them. So photos, really big part of the blog. You definitely want to have at least 2 photos for that. So what makes a good photo? You want it to stand out and really attract the reader. It has to make sense for your blog and match the tone of your blog. You want to use real pictures, not clip art. At the end of this, we do have a resources page that shows you where to get free pictures that are high quality. You don't want them blurry or stretched, and they have to be the right size. So right size doesn't just mean right size on the blog that lines up with your article, as Paul was saying, but also right size as in not too big of a file, because that will make your website load slow, and a slow loading website is not going to rank on the first page of Google. All right.
They measure the milliseconds down to the T.
Yeah, something that can also help is local photos. So if you have a picture of the front of your building, that would help people find it and put that on your contact page. So just common sense stuff like that. All right, so next we want to take a look at, is the photo legal to use? So I would suggest using stock photos or taking your original photos. Definitely don't take photos off Google Images and then put them on your blog. You can get fined. I think we have a story of a pineapple, right, Paul?
Yeah, one of our clients has an ice skating arena. He had a Hawaiian ice skate design that he had our graphic designer put together. He selected a picture, told our graphic designer it was fine to use. He actually got fined $3,000 for using a tiny pineapple in the corner of the picture on his website. So that's something that can cause problems. So use legal photos is the message to take away from this particular slide.
And if someone else is doing your...
So my motto of better to ask for forgiveness than permission doesn't apply here.
In this instance, no.
Yeah, if someone else is doing your blog, let's say you have an intern or someone else at the front desk is doing your blog, make sure that you know where they're getting their photos from. All right. So next is resizing. So how many people can read that easily, and how many people see that that dog is wearing glasses? This photo is too small, and this is a great example of your website on a mobile device, because a lot of times your website will look great on a desktop, but on a smaller mobile device, it's going to make the pictures look weird. Maybe the text is stacked strange, it's too small to read, or people can't click on the links. So you definitely want to have your photo sized the right way, and we suggest under 100 kilobytes or even smaller. You can use webresizer.com to resize your photos if you don't have something like Photoshop, or you could use GIMP as a free version of Photoshop. So you can't just take a picture off of a stock photography website and paste it right into your blog. That's going to make it load super slow, and then you're going to get penalized from Google. So you have to resize the photos. All right, and then the next slide. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. It's really important to name your photos and optimize them. So here's 4 examples of pictures. The first 3 are okay examples. The last one is really what you want to have. So the first one coordinates to that PageRank photo. So you can see I highlighted the keyword in red. So small business, blogs, PageRank, DICE spelled out. So what you want to do is have the file. So these are all examples of alt text. On the left side is examples of the file name. So the file name on your computer has to be all lowercase letters with dashes in between. When you upload it to the website, there's a little space to put an alt tag. So that has to be a sentence spelled out for humans, written for humans, and like a regular sentence. So you can see the difference between the file name on your computer and then the alt text. Google can read both of these. So you definitely want to make sure the keyword is in them. So what's wrong with the first one? Small business blogs, PageRank, DICE spelled out. It's not really a sentence for humans. It's just kind of a choppy sentence. And Google can start recognizing that it's not really written for humans. The second one, tons of SEO tips on Google's Penguin Update and mobile sites. Doesn't describe the picture. The third one, 3 simple SEO tips to get your small business started. You can see that we have 2 different keywords in there. They're not in the right order, so it says small business SEO. If we wanted the keyword to be in there, we couldn't just put SEO at the top, then small business at the bottom. It has to be in that order. So small business SEO should be all in that sentence in that order. So the last one's a good example. So you can see social media and citations, heart filled with colorful icons. So we have our keyword, which is social media. Citations are more important than the social media icons in this pink heart. So it describes the picture, has the keyword, and that's what you should get for a file name and an alt text.
Just so everyone knows, alt text was originally designed to help the visually impaired know what the pictures are on the screen. So that's the original intent of it. You should be describing the picture, what it looks like to the visually impaired, but it is an opportunity to get that keyword in there as well.
And then we have borders and margins as the last step on pictures. So it makes it look more professional.
Hey, Robin, just in case we only have like 5 minutes, so we want to open it up to questions at the end. So I don't know if there's something, we may not want to cover margins and borders of the specific topic and get on to something that's meatier.
Sure. We can go on to the next slide, which is, this is a lot of stuff, blogging. So if you don't have time, can you outsource it to someone else or another company? We usually say not to outsource it to another company, but what you can do is bring it in-house and have someone write for you. So let's say someone at your front desk, or a nephew or a niece, or hire a college kid. What you want to do is make sure that they're 100% trained up on this, which we can do for you, and then they can start writing blogs on their own and producing them every week, or at least every other week, and then you'll make sure that you don't have this duplicate content. It'll be a high-quality blog, and if you don't really have the time, you can also write a whole bunch of blogs at one time when you do have time, and then spread them out throughout the month or throughout the year.
One of our financial firms does that exact thing. He hires he gets 6 or 7 summer interns, and over the summer they have the interns write dozens of blogs, and then those blogs are just then posted on a time release basis throughout the year. At this point in time, I wanted to stop for questions. Robin did say, can you outsource? We do write blogs for our clients. We actually have a questionnaire to understand what tone you want to deliver, what type of, do you want it light and airy? Do you want it to be more serious? And we do have a copywriter on staff that learns about your topic and writes for you, and of course get it over to you to approve. But you want to make sure that all these points are covered, and that's when you do have somebody doing the blogging. You want to make sure that they're hitting all the correct points and doing it the right way. With that being said, we have questions, and I'm going to go ahead and leave our contact info up here. We do have this presentation. I'll make sure I get the final copy to Laura so she can send it out with some of these resources on the PowerWords look and feel, free images and that. But at this time, any other questions, Dr. Dane, I'd be happy to take from anybody that's present.
Paul, do you have any examples of blogs that you liked from either chiropractic offices or wellness centers or something within our field that you like as a reference or example?
Dr. Julie does a fantastic job of writing excellent, meaningful, valuable, in-depth content. I wanted to pull up what she has here. Let's see here. Of course, she has the issue that everything is in Wix, and she's not able to do many of the things that we've talked about today. However, as you take a look at some of her blogs, she's doing as many as she can. Her content is really strong. I think that she could improve, some of the layout here, but I think she's really hitting the mark in terms of writing the content. She's writing for humans, and it's done quite well. So I wanted to show her example. I believe there's WSCenters.com. There's a few that I remember on the Wellness Solution Center site. Let's take a quick look to see what we have here. And the one thing that I know we worked on, Robin, do you recall which one we worked on with Dr. Denise?
And that was, I think the keyword was weight loss.
You've been blogging every week.
Okay, good. So you can see here a lot of paragraph copy. You can see that there could be some improvements here. Trying to think of, so I particularly, and I mentioned that earlier, working with Dr. Cohen to revamp a lot of things that we're doing with him. He actually has the second most reviews of any other chiropractor in on Manhattan Island. So we're getting him close to being #1 in terms of the number of reviews out of anybody else in New York City, which is very exciting. But again, I talked about how we have to revamp quite a bit of content. This issue we have to get the pictures in. We don't want the duplicate content. They have lots of links. Everything's super text heavy. All this needs to be improved. In terms of in your network, I don't think I think some of the best examples are some of the content that Dr. Julie's putting together. But like I said, there's always room for improvement on almost anything.
Is there another industry that you think they just do a great job with blogging?
Let's see. I actually think our blogs could be. I think everything could always be better. I think Search Engine Land, and this is a great resource that you should go to listen to. Or I'm sorry, to find any content on SEO. It's constantly changing. They usually do a pretty good job on breaking up their content, making it super meaningful. See this, they do a lot of guest bloggers. Some of the guest bloggers will control how many pictures they put on here, but all this content is super meaningful, very informational. And they do a great job of breaking it up. And because it is one of the leading sources for search engine information, they're, of course, optimizing everything in the correct ways as well. So if you're looking for good samples to follow and also great content on this topic of SEO, this is a great place to go, which is searchengineland.com.
Nice. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. I don't think we have any other questions. Let me just check one more time here. Let's see. I do have a question. Is it better to use a program like WordPress or to write the blog directly on our website? If we use WordPress, how do we link it to our website and not have it registered as duplicate content?
So I've actually done this a couple of times. WordPress has so if the person you're talking to is using, let's say, a hard-coded site, or they're with one of these companies like Chiromatrix, one of the places that builds websites for chiropractors, you can write a blog manually, and you can do all this stuff manually. The nice thing about WordPress is it has that little Yoast plugin that gives you the immediate, instant feedback on exactly what you should or should not be doing. Can you add a WordPress site to supplement your site? Absolutely. We actually did that for photographer Paul Schlishman. I don't know if I remember his URL off the top of my head, but we made a blog that looked just like his normal website and with WordPress, and then when you went to his website /blog, then it would look like his site, but it was all WordPress, and the user would be none the wiser. And then they were able to use that information to or that program to do all the blogging. But the thing is, Dr. Dane, that Yoast plugin is so valuable for all the other pages on your site. And before you get into blogging, I'd highly recommend using all these techniques that we just covered on your home page, and make sure you have one page per service. You have chiropractic care, you have massage therapy, you do acupuncture, you do this, that, and the other thing. Each one of those pages each one of those services needs to have its own individual page, and everything that we just talked about on this presentation should be done to those pages as a top priority item after getting the Google business done. Then you get into the blogging, and having WordPress to do all that with that Yoast plugin makes it much more simple of a process.
Okay, last question. And we do this a lot. If we share blog articles from other 8 Weeks to Wellness doctors, how do you do it best without being duplicate content? And will it hurt their SEO?
Well, so if you share a blog, what you need to do is you need to rewrite it. It needs to be 80 to 90% different than what the other blog is. So if somebody's writing some great content and you want to share it with the other folks, have someone rewrite it. Have someone on your staff take the exact same information and just rewrite it in a different voice, maybe from a different perspective, maybe from a different, first person to second person to third person. You could think about it that way. The other thing you could do is you could react to that article, and that's kind of the way that we started doing blogging originally in my company. Is we'd look at search engine land and write our reaction to that article on our website, and then link back to it. So there is opportunity there to take the content, but it has to be rewritten. You can't just copy and paste it.
All right, awesome. Well, guys, I did record this, so if you are having somebody, if you have a point person in your office that's responsible for your blogs, I mean, this is just, I can't thank you enough, Paul and Robin. This is just incredible content, and learned a lot, and had a lot of comments. Thank you very much for the information.
Absolutely. And Dr. Dane, if you want us to dive into backlinks or keyword research or any of these other topics that you personally learned a lot about when we did a lot of stuff on the Wellness Solution Centers, we'd be happy to do so.
Yeah, well, it's been, like I said, it's been a really big learning curve, but I've learned more in the past 3 months than I have in my whole life about SEO and everything you talked about. So it's great information. So again, everybody, thank you for your time. Please, if you want more information or you need more help, reach out to Paul and Awesome Dynamics. And Paul, again, appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll have you on in the next quarter to do another topic or expand on this one.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Dane, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody, we'll talk to you guys next week, okay? Have a great weekend.